Hi, yogis. Lizzie Lassiter here with our new moon class. The theme is chair yoga, downshifting into the new year. I've got a sequence here of 12 poses. And if you would like the whole sequence, check the description below. If you comment below this video, I personally see every single one. I'd love to hear first as we begin, settling into your body, close your eyes, take a long, slow, deep inhalation and a long exhalation, inquiring what is the state, the internal state inside of your body. In a single word, please type that into the comments below. How does your nervous system feel as you're arriving for this class? I feel rushed, which is why I've designed this class for us all. We're going to do 12 poses with the chair. Please be cautious. Listen to your common sense, your intuition, your healthcare provider. Obviously, this is yoga on YouTube, so I can't see you. Take care of yourself. Last announcement before we move to the mat. In case you found your way here without being subscribed to our New Moon Mail, we send a newsletter every month with a full-length class like this. The place to go to subscribe is lassiter.yoga, www.lassiter.yoga. That's also the place to find all of the online courses that we produce. And you can find me and everything I'm doing at www.lizzie.yoga. Let's move to the mat. We'll start with the chair at the wall, your mat at the wall. Turn to face your chair. Come into Tadasana. Inhale your breath. Exhaling, fold, hinge at your hips, bring your hands onto the chair, half dog pose with the chair. Step back. Now, I'm pressing, my thumbs are on top here. I'm pressing diagonally towards the wall as I simultaneously move my pelvis away from the chair and drop my head. This is why we're practicing at the wall so that you can really press forward and the chair won't slip away from you. Pressing, your shoulder blades are moving with the arms towards the hands. As you breathe here, about 5 more breaths, dropping the head. And take a big inhalation as you walk back towards your chair, coming up to standing. Take a couple breaths, observing just that one pose, 5, 6 breaths, observing the effects in your body. And now we're going to step back to a plank pose. You can experiment with your hands if you like the thumbs down or if you like the thumbs up on the top of the chair, coming into a plank position so that my pelvis is not lifted. It's coming in line with my heels and my shoulders. The head as well is not drooping, it's lifting up. And we're breathing here. And come back up to standing. We're going to do a couple more of those. I'm going to set a timer for us now for 30 seconds. And we'll begin. Step back, pressing the pelvis down as the thighs move up. Here, my shoulder blades draw down towards my pelvis to stabilize. And then breathing. Six more seconds. And step forward to release. Come back up to standing. We're going to do one more round, this time playing with lifting alternate feet. Take a breath or two to collect yourself. And we'll come back into plank. This time, inhale, lift the right leg and release. Inhale, left leg. Exhaling, trying to shift the body as little as possible as you lift the leg. Continuing with your breath rhythm. And release the foot, come back up to standing. So the great Mary Richards, who we collaborate with on Lassiter.yoga a lot, she loves plank. And now it's really hard for me to write any class sequence without including at least one plank. It's really great for core stabilization and for vagal tone, the vagus nerve. Okay, now we're going to come to a lunge. Step your right foot forward onto the chair. Fingertips can come down, or if you're working at a more beginning level, you can bring your fingertips to the top of the chair, adjust your position. We're inhaling. We shift the hips forward towards the chair, and I like to exhale and pulse back a little bit. 5 more times like that. Inhale. Exhale. Little bit of movement here. Strong stretch on the back calf, I'm feeling. Strong stretch on the front of the back thigh. 2 more breaths. And let's switch the legs by stepping back through dog pose, a couple breaths. We're doing sort of a very modified chair sun salutation here. We started with dog, then the plank, now the lunges, like a Surya Namaskar B. Okay, let's step the left foot forward now onto the chair. Remember, you could bring the fingertips to the top to make it less intense. Inhaling, press forward and exhale really slightly. Back heel comes down. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. Let's do 2 more breaths like this. Inhale. And inhale. Exhale, step your foot back to dog pose. Remember, shoulder blades move towards the hands here. And now look forward, shift forward, turn the fingertips down to the side of the chair, and we're going to move towards upward facing dog on the chair, pressing strongly into the hands. The pelvis moves down and the sternum, the chest lifts up. 1, 2, 3 breaths. I'm still on the top of my feet here. I haven't rolled over, so I can really use my legs. And exhale, shift back. We'll do 2 more upward facing dogs. Pausing here, a couple of breaths in down dog. If it feels good, you can roll forward, head coming last, landing in upward facing for 3 breaths. And exhale. Back to dog. Don't tolerate any pain in upward facing dog. They don't hang in your shoulder joints in an unpleasant way or any pain in the lower back. You can always do less, reduce the amplitude of the pose to make it fit your body today. Last one, inhale, come forward. My feet are pretty wide, so no need to put the feet together. And my legs are internally rotating to facilitate the back bend. Pressing up with my top thighs. 1 more breath. And exhale. Shift back, drop the head. So there's a big tendency to hold the head up here, even arching the neck. But release the head. And as you do, notice how It helps to release the mind, to let go of thinking. This physical movement, when I'm lifted up like this, it's often that I'm thinking. When I soften the head, I can also soften the mind. Look forward. Step your right foot forward, coming back towards the lunge. And now we're going to do a twist. So it's a twisted lunge with the chair. What might feel really nice is to take a block and put the block on the chair so you have a little more height on your left fingertips. So I've just placed the block underneath. Inhale. Exhale. I'm twisting towards that right knee. Any amount. Strongly anchoring the back heel towards the mat. As I inhale and exhale, I twist. Pelvis coming with me into the twist. Last breath here. And take the second side. Switch the feet. My left foot comes forward. I have the block here for my fingertips. Inhale. Now make sure you're not on a tight rope here, that the feet they don't need to be in line. In fact, I like to widen my feet so that I have space for my pelvis to rotate. And then you don't feel that pinch on the front inner thigh. Inhale the breath. Exhale as you twist. Heel anchoring. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale, slowly unwind. And step back. Inhale, come to a Tadasana, standing mountain pose. Feet are wide, hip distance. Couple breaths here, just to settle and observe, reflect on the residue that those few movements and few breaths have left in your nervous system. Blink your eyes open. We're going to do a triangle pose with the chair. So I would suggest leaving the chair out the wall. It gives you an added layer of stability, but you could, of course, practice this in a class setting in the center of the room. So I'm going to put my right foot towards the chair, turn my back towards you, spread my legs as I normally do in triangle pose, my front heel in line with the middle arch. And Mama teaches the front foot turned one big toe width out. You're externally rotating that front foot, and that ripples all the way up this front leg into the front thigh. So the place for the movement of this pose is where the front thigh reaches the pelvis. This is the place that we want to shift. This pose, triangle pose, is about shifting my pelvis over my front femur, as opposed to holding the pelvis still and trying to side bend, which feels terrible. So open the arms wide, inhale the breath. Exhaling, shifting your pelvis, pouring the pelvis over the front thigh. Bring your front hand, your right hand to the chair and lift up. Taking weight into that front right hand. Resist the instinct or the training to turn up. It's not good for your neck, for your cervical spine. Instead, just keep your neck in line with your spine and gaze gently forward. 3 more breaths here. Turn your top hand, press into the top hand as you inhale and come up to standing. Let's take the second side. My left foot comes forward and a little bit under the chair. Open the back leg. Front toes turn slightly out, rotating that whole front inner thigh. And the pelvis turns a little bit with you. That's completely fine. Let go of the idea to hold the back pelvis back. You cannot practice this pose between two panes of glass. That is a yoga myth. Inhale, sweep the arms open. Exhale, shift the pelvis as you reach forward and bring the left hand now down to the seat of the chair. Bring your top arm up. Anywhere that feels sort of energetically congruent with the pose. It's not going to be that same vertical line that we have in triangle pose without the chair. My pelvis is tilting forward and it's a back bend twist here. Resist, as I said, the urge to look up. Mama always says, don't look up at the ceiling. There's nothing up there. You can even close your eyes. I have a really strong sensation on my front inner thigh, so my breath is there. One more long, slow, deep inhalation. Turn the top palm away from you and press into that palm. That helps bring you back up and release. Now we're going to do Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2 with the support of the chair, which is fabulous. I'm going to move my mat away from the wall back into the center of the room. Virabhadrasana 2, turn your chair to face the long edge of your mat. Sit down on the chair and then establish the position of the legs. Right foot forward. My back thigh is turning under. Press strongly into the back foot. The back toes are turned a little bit in towards me. Front knee is opening here. And I'm looking for that kind of right angle of that front knee and sort of shin bone and femur. So you can start with your hands on your hips. Inhale the breath. Close the eyes. As you're ready, inhale, sweep the arms up in a horizontal line. You can turn and gaze over that front middle finger. You're a warrior goddess now in this pose. Inhale. Exhale. Feeling the front body widen and spread, but simultaneously the back body. Feel the shoulder blades growing wide away from the spine as you press down into your feet and lengthen up away from the seat. 2 more breaths here. Inhale. Mouth is closed. I'm always only breathing through my nose in yoga. I learned that from the James Nestor book, Breath, which I highly recommend. Inhale. Exhale. Bring your back fingertips down towards the thigh. Turn the top palm. Inhale and lift up and over. Reverse warrior. 1, 2, 3 breaths here. And release. Second side. Shifting the legs first. So what's really nice about using the chair for strong poses like Warrior 2 is we can stay longer because we're not holding on for dear life. And what you can do if you want to add more challenge is you can press into the feet and either with pulsing or lift up for a full breath or lift up, press and lift the whole time, or you can stay supported on the chair. So this is, of course, wonderful for knee recovery, for pelvic floor recovery, postpartum. For example, I practiced with the chair all throughout my twin pregnancy because during pregnancy, the pelvic floor gets weaker and weaker as it's holding up the babies, in my case. So hands on the hips, inhale the breath. I also just really like the feeling in my hips when I practice with the chair. Feels really opening and nourishing for my pelvis. Inhale the breath. Exhaling as you're ready, sweep the arms up and spread the fingertips away from each other. You may turn, you may want to turn, the classical alignment is to turn and look over the middle finger, spreading the front and the back body evenly. Inhale. 2 more breaths. And release the back hand onto the back thigh. Sweep the front arm up and over. And release onto center. So I'd like us to do a back bend now in terms of the sequence of this class. It's appropriate for your body to do a back bend. We're warm. That was actually our peak pose of the class. So now I'm going to show a more advanced version, a back bend through the chair, which is not appropriate for you if you have neck issues, if you're pregnant, if you're menstruating, if you have been told not to backbend, if you have pain when you do this, if you're a beginning student, et cetera, et cetera. So if you fall into those categories, if you feel like this is too big of a backbend for you, what I'm going to show a variation of what I would suggest for you. So I'm going to take a blanket and put it on the chair for the deeper back bend. And I'm also going to have 2 blocks here. These are optional but delicious. And I'm going to have a bolster here through the chair. And I'm going to have these 2 as ways to modify the height of my head. So this is the more advanced setup. If I'm working at a more beginning level, what I'm going to do is lie over a blanket, bolster, or pillow in a way that I get a very gentle opening. Let me see if you can see me. Yes. So I'm sitting here and I'm simply opening. It's called one blanket back bend. I'm simply opening the front body. My pelvis, my tailbone is moving down. My arms are wide. My eyes are closed. So you'll stay here. You can do any amplitude of that back bend. So it could be a single blanket, it could be 2 or 3 blankets stacked together, could be over a bolster, it could be even over a couch pillow. A little bit of opening along the front body and quieting of the mind. For those of you who have a back bend practice and want to do the chair version with me, this is for padding. And I'm going to sit through onto the chair. And then I'm going to slowly work my way down. Sometimes you have a little bit of a adjustment as you come into the pose. So first, I'm finding my way to the support. Okay, that feels really nice today. This height changes sometimes for me, depending on the day, depending on the body that I brought to the mat. So this is kind of version 1. You're here, the soles of your feet are on the floor. My big toes are turning in towards each other. You could consider straightening the legs if that feels good for you. Again, internally rotating. Or you could also consider placing them on these blocks. I'm going to adjust that now. So I have blocks. So this would be it makes it a little bit less intense. So I'm lifting up the feet. I'm going to bring mine down. You find what works for you. And we'll take about 10 breaths here. Last couple breaths in the pose. If you like, you can remove some of the support under the head if you want to take last few breaths in a deeper variation as your body has adjusted. Okay. Coming up slowly, taking your time, shift your weight forward towards your feet. Use your hands along the chair. Big inhalation brings you up to sitting. And just sit for a few breaths to readjust. If you're lying on the floor over a blanket or a bolster, you're going to roll to the side and press yourself up to sitting. Mm. If you were on the floor, come sitting on your chair as I am now. And I'm going to move my blocks out of the way so you can see more clearly. I'm sitting here, and now I'm going to step my left foot further forward than the right as I'm twisting to the right. So I'm already adjusting the pelvis here, and the blanket will slide on the chair, which is wonderful. My left foot is stepped further forward, and I'm using the back of the chair to help my twist. Inhale the breath. Exhale. The twist begins in the pelvis. The pelvis is asymmetrical. We're not anchoring the sit bones here and twisting in the sacroiliac joint. We're allowing the sit bones to already move into the twist. We take about 3 to 5 breaths here, inhaling, exhaling, twisting any amount. And instead of thinking about twisting, what I like to think about is putting my body in this position and then inhale and exhale. Can I back bend more? And that actually counterintuitively brings me deeper into the twist. One more breath. And release. Second side, step your right foot forward now, significantly, asymmetrically, already starting the pose like I'd say 1/8 twisted. Inhale the breath, exhale. Think back bending here. One more breath. And unwind, taking a couple breaths to find neutral again. Unwind yourself from the chair. Now we're going to do a pigeon pose, a hip opening, outer hip rotator stretch with the chair and a bolster, ideally. If you don't have a bolster, you can roll up blankets to lift your pelvis off the floor. We don't need the blocks anymore. So I'm going to put them away. And I'm going to keep my blanket because it might be nice for the forehead. I turn the bolster 90 degrees to the chair, and I'm going to move my chair all the way to the edge of the mat. Step your right foot over the bolster, and I'm going to sit down all the way down. My front foot comes open, the knee comes open, no pain in the knee. Do not tolerate any sensation in the knee joint. If you have that, you need to skip this pose. My back foot is turning in as I inhale. You can use the chair here for support. First, I'm going to lift up, both hands on the chair. My front shin is parallel to the bolster, parallel to the edge of the mat. Inhale. And exhaling now, I like to take a little bit of a twist here. Goes really well with the pose that we just did. So my left hand is on the chair, my right fingertips onto the bolster as I twist, couple breaths. And release. Fold forward now, bring your forehead towards the chair, onto some padding, and bring the hands up if that feels good. Couple breaths in the forward folded pigeon with the chair. Inhale. Coming up. Release the pose, unwind yourself, and take a few steps around your space. Noticing the asymmetry now, the difference between your left and your right outer hip rotator muscles, these muscles. Take the second side, left foot steps over, and we open the foot, front shin is parallel to the bolster to the front of the mat. Inhale. So first, the hands come to the chair. My back foot is rotated in, the toes are turning in. Inhale. Just this position, I feel so regal. I love this archetypal position. Really nice for opening the front of the back thigh, which just gets tight all the time from all the sitting that I do. Writing you all of my emails. Inhale, lift up. And now exploring the twist, the right hand comes across. Don't force it, but just moving in the direction of a twist. And release. Bowing forward now, bringing your forehead down onto the blanket, onto the chair. Take the other interlace, the one that feels funny, the other thumb on top. And 3 to 5 breaths here. Your next inhalation brings you up. And release. Okay. We're going to do a forward bend now before we transition to shavasana. Don't need the bolster anymore. Going to take a second blanket for padding on the back of the chair. This is a forward bend over the back of the chair. Mama taught this pose in our office hours class. The links are below. It was a 2-part series. You can download the recordings, chair yoga. And in part 2, she taught this variation of Prasarita Padottanasana. So the feet are wide, the toes are turned slightly in here. And you are going to find the distance based on your height. So if I were to come into Uttanasana, more standing forward fold, my pelvis is going to be too high for the chair. So you're looking for the place. You're going to keep adjusting the feet until you find the place at which you're folding right in so that the chair is pressing into the crease, into that deep low belly area. This should feel good. Okay. This is a delicious pose, so do not suffer through. You need to adjust the legs if it doesn't feel good, if this is poking you in an unpleasant place. Inhale the breath. Soften the gaze, soften the chin, exhale. Fold down. Take support. So my head is supported by the chair. If you don't reach, then you need to build the chair up with a block. And then find something to do with the hands, like take a hold of the elbows, even bring them down to the floor. And kind of hanging, supported, and open. If this isn't working for you and you're just unhappy, then as a variation, take Uttanasana or Prasarita Padottanasana turned around, the more classical version with the head on the chair. Three to five more breaths, coming out when your pose is finished. And inhaling. Bring your hands onto the seat of the chair. Slowly bring the feet closer together and come up to standing. It's time for Shavasana. Shavasana! We're going to do a supported restorative chair Shavasana. Even if you skipped everything until now, this is a wonderful standalone practice. I'm going to support my legs, my lower legs on the chair. I have a pillow for my head. I have a third eye mask from my collection to cover my eyes. You definitely need darkness for the pose. And I'm 5'9", 175 centimeters tall, so the chair works perfectly for me. If you're my height or taller, the chair is going to work perfectly. If you're shorter than me, it may be too high for you to rest comfortably in Shavasana. If that's the case, then I suggest you practice this pose on a couch that's lower. Often the seats of couches are lower, or an armchair that has a lower seat. And that's going to be exactly the same setup for you. You're just going to lower your legs. You can also, it's possible to build up the floor by putting a bunch of blankets down. But the idea is that you're changing this relationship. So I've put on socks because you want to be warm when you practice Shavasana. Support the backs of my legs. Roll the calf flesh out. Now, you need something to keep your legs up here without effort, especially in the inner thighs. So you can take a blanket and wrap it around and tuck it under tightly so that you're hooked. What you can also do, which is the luxury version, is to take a sandbag, a heavy weighted sandbag, and put it just below your knees. That feels wonderful. Then I'm going to come down to the floor and make sure the backs of my knees are supported. And if you have another blanket, it feels really good to drape it over your belly here and take the pillow for support. The pillow comes all the way in to your shoulders. And I like to turn the top corners down so that your chin is below your forehead. Covering your eyes, adjusting any last minute hair, etc. I'm going to set a timer for us. And nothing happens next. We are surrendering. You are giving yourself the great gift now of spaciousness and silence to surrender. Surrender to the support of the mat, the support of the chair, the support of this practice, and you're surrendering to the breath. In restorative yoga, we're no longer doing yoga. The subject-object relationship reverses. So the yoga is doing us now. We are receiving shavasana. And I will bring us out. After now, there's going to be a space of silence. I'm practicing right here with you. And then I'll bring us together and say goodbye. Let yourself be held by the silence in shavasana. Inhale your breath. Exhaling, bring your hands onto your belly. One by one, bend your knees. Rolling yourself to the side. Pause here. Transitioning slowly up to sitting. Inhaling your breath, open the palms away from the body. With an exhalation, bring them together in front of your heart. Namaste. May we live like the lotus, at home in the muddy water. Thank you so much for your practice today. This is where you can find all of our online courses and sign up for our new moon mail. So you'll have a class like this delivered to your inbox every month. www.lassiter.yoga. And you can find everything I'm doing on the internet, Instagram, YouTube, Sunday newsletter, etc. here at lizzie.yoga, www.lizzie.yoga. Lots of love, and we'll see you next month.